This video contains disturbing content, violent content, jump scares, and sudden loud noises. Viewer discretion advised.
When you look at a picture, you immediately begin to memorize it. The background, the small details, what the subject is holding or doing. But sometimes even a picture can haunt you.
You'll see it everywhere, in the faces of the people that you meet, in your reflection, and in your dreams. It'll turn into a walking nightmare, as all you can think about is the photo you've seen and what it's doing to you.
Image creepypastas latch onto this fear and make you remember them long after you've closed the browser. Here are the top 15 image creepypastas.
The GIF. On the board of 4chan, an anonymous user posted a GIF image. At a first glance, strangely, the GIF image wasn't animated. It was titled I'mHappy.gif and showed what appeared to be a drawing of a smiley face, only with realistic-looking eyes and a mouth. People who clicked on it saw the smiley face's mouth slowly turn into a frown, and the eyes taking on an angrier appearance. The smiley face would then scream loudly, loud enough to burst the eardrums. Flashes of gruesome images would appear, depicting rapes, bomb test victims, aborted fetuses, mutilated bodies, animals being tortured, and other unexplained photos. After about 5 minutes, it would then show the text, "Have a nice day," and the user's computer would close out of the browser and cease functioning. Reports indicated that those whose computers were infected with the virus were found mutilated, with a smiley face painted in blood all over it, not far from where the corpse lay. 4chan owners claimed that the picture was not related to the murders in any way, and any time a user posted the GIF image, they were immediately banned, along with the picture being removed.
Slideshow. Slideshow is the story of a person bidding on a camera from eBay and finding a memory card still inside it. Upon investigation, the stills of the camera show pictures of a mailing address followed by a murder scene, in the same order for several slides. The story ends with the author scanning through the images and finding the last image to be his own shipping label from the box.
Suicide Girl. Shortly before a Japanese teenager committed suicide, she drew this picture, scanned it, and posted it online. In Korea, the story went viral, and various posts on forums say the viewer gets drawn to the girl's blue eyes. They say it's difficult for a person to stare into the girl's eyes for longer than 5 minutes. Some people say that the picture changes as you view it, such as a taunting smirk, or that perhaps dark rings grow under her eyes. The picture has sparked a good bit of curiosity around the globe. Take a look for yourself. Has the image changed for you? Did she perhaps just blink right then, or move her eyes slightly? Or is it that your mind is simply playing tricks on you?
Image.001. Image.001 is the story of an author finding an unattended laptop in a cafe. He steals it and takes it home with him, planning to sell it on eBay. When he attempts to remove the hard drive, he notices picture of men and women being tortured, mutilated, and being forced to eat each other. Videos were also mentioned on the hard drive, but the author does not go into full detail of finding out what they contain. Eventually, the author wonders about contacting the authorities about the situation, only to find out that the doorbell rings. He glances back at his laptop screen to see a notification say, "GPS tracker activated."
The painting in the mirror. The painting in the mirror is the tale of a student moving into a dark, dingy apartment during the semester years. He notices the room being very sparse. A bed with a mirror hung on the wall at the foot of the bed. Everything seemed normal at first, until a week of living there. He begins to notice in the mirror a painting above his bed that shows a thin, shadowy figure moving erratically into the frame, getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, it drives the student to insanity, and he quickly seeks medical help by speaking to psychiatrists, which lead to them asking what the painting actually depicts. When the student goes back to his apartment, he notices that the painting does not exist on his wall and is only viewable in the mirror. When he tries to sleep again, he notices that the figure in the painting has grown even larger, and its limbs stretch outside of the mirror. Eventually, he is pulled through the mirror, and the student goes into detail of not remembering anything past that. He wakes up, tied down to a medical bed, with doctors and nurses frequently visiting him. He is given a pen and paper by the nurse and asks the reader whether or not to believe him.
Tower of Silence. A Tower of Silence is a circular raised structure used by Zoroastrians for exposure of the dead, particularly the scavenging birds for the purposes of excarnation. Zoroastrian exposure of the dead is first attested in the mid-5th century BCE histories of Herodotus, but the use of towers is first documented in the early 9th century. On the 19th of January 2003, Indian officials ventured into a deep jungle in a hunt for missing people from a local village. They instead found a Tower of Silence with bodies next to them. None of the bodies were identified or linked to the missing people, and no animals were found near them, just maggots and flies. Only one photograph was found to be taken of the incident. There was no official count of the bodies, and little work was actually accomplished at the site because the officials felt uneasy and nauseous about the whole situation. The deep pit in the center was filled with several feet of blood, far more than the bodies on the outside could ever supply. The expedition ended when a villager accidentally kicked a small bone into the pit, which then erupted, showering everyone, including the cameraman, in blood from the pit. Those that were caught in the explosion were immediately sent to the hospital and quarantined for possible infections. Reports say they became delirious with fever, shouting about being tainted with the blood of Ahriman, which is the personification of evil in Zoroastrianism. As the fever got worse, the patients began attacking the hospital staff until they were all sedated. All patients had later died from their illness. When officials returned with hazmat suits the following day, the site was empty. The bodies had been removed, and the pool of blood in the pit had been drained. All that remained
was this photograph.
The Portraits. The Portraits is the story about a hunter searching the woods at dusk and stumbling across a cabin. The door was slightly open, so he went ahead and entered the cabin. The inside was dark, and a single bed lay in the room. After laying himself on the bed and getting comfortable, he decided he would tell the owner in the morning about his sudden intrusion. But when he looked around the cabin, he noticed that the walls were covered with many portraits, all painted with incredible detail. They were all staring at him with twisted looks of hatred and anger. The hunter had felt uncomfortable, but his exhaustion took him over, and he drifted off to sleep. When he awoke the following morning, all was quiet. The sun streaked into the cabin. But then he noticed that the cabin had no portraits at all, only windows. It was then that the hunter immediately left the cabin in a hurry and never came back.
Anomaly. The narrator of Anomaly is an average guy working at a small publishing company, holding down an office job that's likable enough. The projects he gets are pretty normal, turning out the sorts of books that people buy for gifts and coffee tables. That's until he gets a pitch from someone with a series of photos he wants compiled into a rather non-traditional volume. All of the photos are anomalies, showing something otherworldly or unexplained. The photos are so valuable, in fact, that rather than sending them all to be processed, the client insists on sending them one at a time. When one comes back, he sends the next. When he gets a better offer from someone wanting to buy all the photos, the publishing project is terminated. Lawyers get involved, copies are seized, and most of the photos are wiped from their computers, with the exception of a few, which the narrator explains, has to be seen to believe. The photographs in their stories are chilling. There's a blurry photo of children, taken before a 1908 fire that killed them all. There's a hooded figure with a snarling dog on a leash, and a photo that was recovered from a man's camera after his mysterious disappearance. A possible image of the Axeman of New Orleans, evidence of the cave-dwelling cryptids, a photo of a Danish family later killed in a terrible accident, and more. There are 14 photos in all, and it's not immediately obvious what's out of the ordinary, which makes Anomaly all the more creepy. The Painting. A police case was issued with reports of a missing boy from a family home. The house in question was not broken into, and there were no reports of what the attacker looked like. A 7-year-old boy had claimed that someone had tried to enter through the bathroom at midnight when he was in it. He had said it scratched its nails on the door, but forensics identified that the marks left by the intruder could not be done by human hands. The boy also explained that the painting that their father had left in the bedroom would change. Originally, the painting is described as large, with a house painted over a cliff with an ocean underneath. He had stated that every night he would wake up in the middle of it and witness a black smudge on the canvas, almost as if a person was drawn there. Each night, the smudge would be in a different position, until the very night his brother went missing. He then stated that he would see a painted face in the window of the house that looked just like his brother. No official claims have been made from the parents on this matter. Studying the back of the painting, written in red ink are the words Gadal Aibin Aithun, which translated from Welsh is "Leave me alone."
The Girl in the Photograph. The girl in the photograph is a mysterious picture that claims the lives of victims. In the picture, she is described as beautiful, wearing a dress with tights on and red shoes. The photograph of her shows her making numbered signs, but these could be interpreted as hand gestures towards the camera. Anyone that touches the picture instantly wants to know more information about the girl in the photograph. The victim will ask around, demanding to know who she is, but will not get the results they are looking for. At night, it's been reported that giggling can trance the victim to dangerous locations, such as a road, rail track, or construction site. If the victim is killed, the photograph will change its hand gesture to show how many victims it has fooled.
Janice.jpg. Janice.jpg follows the story of a man named Mark Spielman who gets a job at a police station looking through websites and shutting them down for illegal activities. As he dives deeper into the job, he comes across a website called Sweet15.com, which he suspects of being a child pornography website. As he looks through it, the photos on the site are all the same picture. Janice. He goes home and immediately begins working on uncovering the mystery of Janice when his computer becomes infected with what he believes to be a virus. Mark logs in and sees that Janice is there. 1,000 pictures of her. First, just the original photo of her, slightly smiling, and then she begins frowning. The frown devolves into the girl screaming in fear and a man entering the shot. The man in the photos takes Janice from her bed, rips out her internal organs, and then goes off screen. The photos end with Janice covered in blood and a simple question: who is Janice? The police find the computer and the website, but Mark is never seen or heard from again.
Satellite images. Google Earth and Google Street View reveal some incredible things. It's been uncovering a new dimension of reality since it came online. One user had experienced the world through browsing Google Maps, visiting places such as London, Paris, Japan, and going on virtual tours. But then, he began spotting something in particular. A brown-haired woman with a gray bag and red sneakers. He sees her in Tokyo first, then in Paris, then Berlin. On another day, he sees the mysterious woman again in Sydney, Zurich, and Hong Kong. Each time he visits different places in the world and reverts back, she appears to be doing something different, from standing up to sitting on a bench to petting a cat to staring at the camera from a balcony. He couldn't find much information on the woman other than her attire, as the faces on Google Maps are blurred. Panicking now, he visits his hometown, and worryingly, she is seen standing in the park, looking at the camera. Terrified by the strange, seemingly ever-present woman, he exits out of Google Maps altogether, vowing never to use the tool again. That's when a knock at his door comes, and the security camera feed shows a woman with a gray bag and red sneakers staring directly at the camera with a blurred face. This man. In January 2006, reports of a man appearing in patients' dreams was the cause of concern among a well-known psychiatrist. A patient had drawn the face of a man that kept on appearing in their dreams. When more and more patients discovered the same man occurring, the psychiatrist sends the picture to his other colleagues to see if their patients recognize the man as a frequent presence in their dreams. To his surprise, all the patients referred to him as this man. Even to this day, At least 2,000 people have claimed to have seen this man in their dreams, with many reports from cities such as Los Angeles, Berlin, Sao Paulo, Tehran, Beijing, Rome, Barcelona, Stockholm, Paris, Moscow, and London. Investigations are still ongoing, but there is still no ascertained relation or common trait amongst those who have dreamed of this man. Zalgo. Zalgo is an internet legend about an ominous entity believed to cause insanity, death, and destruction of the world, similar to the creature Cthulhu, created by H.P. Lovecraft. Zalgo is an ominous creature that appears to be horror itself, or an ultimate terror all on its own. It's believed to relate to the death of the world, along with the scourge of insanity and other unspeakable things. Most of the time, disfiguration, gore, and dismemberment go along with the creature. Zalgo is often associated with scrambled text on web pages and photos of people whose eyes and mouths have been covered in black. Zalgo often cultivates into simple childish cartoons or comic strips, which corrupt them and turn them into hellish-like entities on paper with nothing but the black eyes and mouth. On forums, image boards, and certainly through emails, scrambled text began appearing with phrases like, "and he waits behind the wall." Parts of the internet become more corrupted, and soon more of its growth started spreading ominously without warning. It's known as "he waits behind the wall with 7 hands, armed only with a dead star and a lone candle." SmileDog.jpg. SmileDog's story consists of an amateur writer who visits the house of an old lady. Supposedly, she had a story for him which he could use. Rather than speak, however, the woman locked herself up in her room, crying and ranting about nightmares and visions. She then appeared to have killed herself a week later. All of these center around a floppy disk she was given that contained the image SmileDog.jpg. Viewing this image incites insanity in the minds of those who have seen it. These reports continue to happen while the victim is asleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. If you receive an email named Smile, it's important you pass the image on to someone else. Deleting or not viewing the mail will still result in the same hallucinations. If the mail is not sent after 3 days, this picture will deform and show a more demonic smile dog, thus resulting in even worse nightmares. Attaching the file, that is, spreading the word, is the only way to save yourself from the smile dog that appears in your dreams. Some say that the original legend began with an image of the devil,